Welcome to the Trinity Techcast. This is episode number 125. When am I recording this? We are recording this on the 4th of August. That's the 8th. The 8th month of the year already, and people will start to say it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
I think the
special interview episode today. It start what is it?
They started already. Christmas in July.
yeah. That's not. I'm gonna tell everybody. This is Darren Dohe, right, from CyberSafe TT, and he's no stranger to our podcast. He was here last week, and I do a special interview episode because Akim and Michaela them on vacation and they don't have time for me anymore, so I had to be talking to just now I wouldn't have time for anybody either, so I'm recording some episodes in advance. This might be one of the in advance episodes, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So Darren Doe, he's from CyberSafe TT, and he's been doing this thing. It's 15 years, I think I see.
That is right. 15 years this year.
Yeah. 15 years telling people what not to do on the internet.
I recording as well.
yeah. 0.33333. Yeah. But before that, the Christmas in July thing. Here we're going on, right? These people trying to get Christmas to be from July to December, because Christmas in July does hit, and Christmas in July kind of finishing almost the middle to the end of July, and then you have August, and then in September is 100 days of Christmas, right?
Yeah, correct.
So basically, all they had to do is co-opt August, and that is it there. Christmas will be for half of the year. But I feel that's the conspiracy theory, but I know.
I feel you're onto something there.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that's it. Yeah. So,
all
right. So, yeah. So we're going on with our 15 years in the business, and is your side hustle, but is your passion project is what you would call it right now? I know it is when it started off, which was like, you wanted to make this change. Is it still, the fire still inside of you, or is it more like just stay consistent with it, sort of? Yeah.
I have to tell you, it became a passion because it was born out of a need, and a need at the time where I had the skill set to address that need, and that need was, you want laptop or child program, however you want to call it, and students getting access to the internet for the very first time in their lives, with these devices. And I just jumped in to try and, fill some gaps with some schools that I was already close with, doing website development, because that was another thing I used to do, and still kind of edu.tt development, right? And kind of realized almost that's like my calling now. Both my parents are teachers, right? And people say, I actually stand up in front of a class is like a Jekyll and Hyde, but not in the bad sense,
Yeah.
Personality kind of things, like where you really built for this, and I look forward to it, and I think once I continue looking forward to doing them, and it doesn't become a chore, I will do it, man, until I guess all of these black hairs turn gray. Who knows?
There's a crown on your head. It's a sign of wisdom, sign of growth. Me, myself, I'm starting to get a few. Yeah. Okay, not a few, not plenty. But that's it start to debate. All right, so you're trying to help people with not just being cyber safe, right? You're helping people with online literacy. And online literacy encompasses being cyber safe and looking out for threats and what kind of thing, right? So if you were to describe online literacy, before we go into the status of it, what would be let's say, 3 things that would encompass online literacy for you?
I think, firstly, awareness, because you kind of have to be aware of what space you're engaging in and where you're interacting in, from that online literacy perspective. And then, you would have understanding, right? So knowing where to actually go, what you should be doing, and understanding that what you're doing is doing it right. And I guess the last part of it, would really be, exploring. So you kind of know and you understand, and now you're dabbling into new things. So like me, I still exploring, with new things. You're kind of doing your research and so on and so forth. In terms of figuring out where you need to be, what you should be, learning next. Because listen, the conversations I had back in 2010 changed significantly to the conversation we have now.
Yeah.
So
I had
it
to
is really a
do.
constant learning, a constant adaptation to what is happening and what will happen, in the next couple of days, months, years.
Yeah, I had to do a panel discussion like in July or something with so I think social media controlling phones or the effects of phones or social media or whatnot. And one of the things I had to say is that okay, our generation, we are outside first, digital second. So we migrated into the digital world, but our default is go back out to the outside world because that's how we feel. We're like, okay, this internet thing getting too intense. I need to go for a walk. I need to do this. But this generation, they are digital first, and we try to force them to migrate to the outside world. And when they go to the outside world and things go bad in the outside world, they flock back to their original home, which is the digital world. And some people were like, wow, I never heard that analogy before. And I was like, well, yeah, that's the facts. So what you would have been speaking about in 2010 would have been people who started out in the outside world and now they were basically pushed into the digital world. But now in 2025, you're speaking to people who born in the digital world, and ever so often you try to get them to go back to the try to get them to go out to touch some grass, and they're like, yeah, grass is cool, but I'd rather grow a garden in in a virtual world, because my daughter playing grow a garden for every waking minute right now, and I just had to be like, hey, this is your world. Yes, ever so often we go outside and play, but once you go back inside, back to grow a garden.
Digital natives, that's the term.
Yeah, digital natives. Yeah, that's real interesting, but so the status of online literacy would be more along the lines of, in 2025, what are the things that used to be a problem but are no longer a problem? What are the things that are becoming problems that we don't see? So, for example, if I were to say, children or young people know when they get a scam message, and they kind of laugh at it now, and they be like, ha ha ha, look at this one. Okay, I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to lead them on, just for the kicks of it. Because I see my children do that already. Whereas before, you'd be like, no, don't reply to that. They'll try to kidnap you. They'll try to human traffic you. But to me, they know about it now, and they just find it a joke. So have you ever come across anything like that, where something used to be a threat, but now they just see it as a joke? And what are the new threats?
Yeah, well, they cross that awareness stage, right?
Yeah.
So it's second play. And the strange thing is the younger ones adapted it much quicker than the older ones, because they still getting falling prey to these things.
Man. Oh yeah. Because they were in like the limbo area, yeah. But the young ones, they just be like, oh yeah, I know that already. This is fun.
Yeah, and not just the scams. I mean, just the natural inclination to do things behind the screen as a first option, whereas we might probably sit down and ponder or think, or as you say, look out the window to kind of get some inspiration. I actually heard some students say they will scroll on TikTok, and so almost a kind of zombie mindless scrolling, right? Scrolling, and but they're multitasking while they're doing that. That sort of puts them in a sense of peace. And then all of a sudden, boom, the idea comes, put on the phone, and they start to write or type or do whatever they need to do.
Right. Okay, yeah, I think I have seen that. I've seen like 3 device operations where the laptop is up, they have a tablet on the side, and then the phone like on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And they multitasking through all of them. And for the life of I can't remember who it was, my aunt or something, couldn't understand how this child is able to do that now. And I was like, no, that
is actually one way in which my conversation has changed. So I had a couple of sessions with parents in 2025, I actually think I had almost the same amount of parent conversations that I had with teens and students and so on, which is not normal. And normally it's just the students. And I explained it to them. It's like, all right, so your playground, as in the parents, your playground is literally that physical space, that basketball court, that football field outside in the yard, right? But their playground is virtual, is behind a screen. And taking away the phone or trying to stop them from doing something in that regard, you actually think of it, back in the day when your mother called you back inside and say, I can't play no more football, how you used to feel. It's a same kind of thing, so it's a different parent in 2025. I have to.
I hear you totally. And it kind of is going to start to become a little more tricky because the parents that you're going to bounce up now are parents who may have been on the digital native fence. So let's say the current 25-year-old now having the first child or first toddler or whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. They would have been the Y2K kind of people. Crowd. Yeah. And they kind of came up in the MySpace era and whatnot. So they know about social media and those sort of things. So when you come to tell, when they have to tell their children to put down their phone or come off their computer, they have to remember, I was one that was behind a computer all the time on MySpace. I was one of the first people to sign up for Facebook. So that blurry line is going to start to change. And that blurry line is going to start to become apparent in the parents. And then you now have to start to figure out what are the ideals and the morals and the kind of ethos behind it. Have you had those kind of conversations about, okay, what is the actual end goal? Forget about taking away the phone and banning people and all those kind of things. What do you really want to get out of your digital native? Have you ever had those conversations?
Yeah, and the thing is, I always preached, not to ban the device or not to delete the app, right? Because it was more about, inculcating good behavior. So
management, yeah.
I don't think the parent, as you say, the Y2K parent, let's call them that, right? I don't think the Y2K parent, first port of call is to take away the phone, because they probably also see it as just part of your natural being, right? They wouldn't just naturally gravitate towards that. Whereas, folks within our generation, that's probably one of the first things we might think to do if we're trying to bring things back into some level of discipline or order, right? Yeah. They will probably more gravitate towards, hey, don't use this app so much, or stop scrolling social, but you can still use your phone to do something else, And there are actual mindfulness apps that, work towards kind of keeping you in that check. So you're still, behind the screen doing what you want to do, but it calming you down, it bringing you back to this level of peace.
Yeah.
So on.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So you think, that I used to have to spend a lot of time, in my school, I always have to do the parent introduction to the Form 1s. And my conversation has changed from, don't send them with a smartphone, buy a dumb phone for them. Now my conversation has changed to install Family Link, install, what's the one on Apple again?
But it comes, I think it comes built in into
install that. It's make sure those things built in now, because you can't stop them from having a smartphone. You now have to manage it. And some of the parents will be afraid because they're not techie enough and afraid that the children will run hoops around them and all those kind of things. But the management of the apps and the time and the screen time and whatnot, that's really easy to do now. Is it that parents are still tentative to try to use it, or they're starting to use it as far as you could see?
In terms of the parental controls?
Parental controls, correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the first things that they ask. I could tell you, though, from the primary school perspective, or like the lower schools, it's more prevalent. I mean, and that's just obvious, right? You're probably not going to get that to be too effective or impactful on a secondary school student, right? So a lot of the parents want to find out about Family Link. They want to find out about screen time management.
Right, yeah.
Which I think is good. I think that's fine. And that is the best age to do it, right? Because you kind of building it into their behavior from young. So, let's just say between, 6 and 8 is a no screen, or the family watching TV or some kind of games, kind of thing going on, right? And if you do that often enough, hopefully at some point you might miss when it doesn't happen, right? So I think yes, it happens, but the age group, really and truly, I think it's more requested for the primary school type of audience.
Right. I remember. I used to shut off my children's phones at whatever their bedtime was, right? So I used to be like, okay,
we all tried that strategy at some
yeah.
point in time.
So let's sit down and decide what bedtime is. And they say, okay, bedtime's supposed to do this. I say, okay, cool. I'm going to set your phone to lock at that time and it's going to unlock at this particular time.
Yeah.
And they just kind of had to deal with it and they get accustomed with it. And now they're in secondary school, they're like, okay, so bedtime could be 10 o'clock. And I'd be like, yeah, for sure, bedtime is 10 o'clock. But little do they know that I know what secondary school is like. And by the time you reach home from school and you do your homework and you're tired, 8 o'clock, you dribbling on that pillow. So it didn't even make sense to try to set a time. They just had to realize, oh, I really don't have time for this phone because I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, and I'm tired and I'll fall asleep. So I guess the inculcating of it takes some time, but if we start from younger, things will become a better managed because now we don't have what's the word? We don't have a red flag up. We actually have a white flag up to be like, okay, this is a part of our life. Let's try to manage it properly. And you might get better results from that. You think so? Like you find so?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think is really not using the phone, but I think it's an appreciation of what life has to offer without the phone.
Okay.
And all right, so two very simple things, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned, my recent trip, right? Just before we started this conversation. So I went out with my son, and there was very little opportunity for both of us to be behind the screen. Right? I say both of us because I think I kind of guilty of it to a certain extent as well.
Of course. Like, yeah, we know. Yeah, like we all have, like adults, we have our hidden phone addictions, but we try to pass it off like it's for business. Yeah. But yeah, good. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, checking email. Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once we were both engaged in some sort of, let's say, offline or non-screen activity, things was fine. And you kind of realize where, this was restful, it was peaceful, it was just real nice, you kind of absolutely enjoy yourself. And so now you come back down to the July-August period where parents still working, I myself working as well, right? But the kids home, and you would like them to do something other than be behind the screen, but it takes some sort of interaction and involvement from the parents.
Some intentional behavior. Yes. I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah.
I feel
intentionality.
Understanding that there is joy outside the screen is a nice way to try and get them away from it.
Yeah. Okay. That's children. Now before we go on to the because we're going to talk about the primary school digital literacy curriculum, and you'll share as much as it could share because I couldn't find the PDF online, but I guess it probably it's still under construction, so you'll share as much as you can. But before we go into that, let's talk about adults, right? Adults and digital online literacy. Now, adults, we have a little tricky situation with adults because you have to teach them something that's not native to them. Now, I know you do a lot of work in schools and whatnot, but you also do different little conferences and whatnot with older folks, not elder folks, but middle-aged and whatnot, in terms of being caught at fishing and banking and those other things. You think we're getting better, boy?
Listen, we getting better, but the scams getting more sophisticated. So
okay.
Looking like we're not making any progress at all.
Because the amount of people I had to help with our WhatsApp hack where people get called and they gave the code and they basically handed over their WhatsApp to somebody else because they thought that they had to give the code or what those sort of things. I was like, come on, man, come on. But I understand the sophisticated nature of it because a lot of people just not sure what to trust or who to trust anymore. So like, yeah, what can we do differently when it comes to adults?
Well, you see, going back to the WhatsApp one, it was sophisticated in its simplicity,
Yeah.
Right? Just the nature in which, for example, one of the ways in which you would have gotten caught is you feel you're receiving a message from somebody that you know to send back the code, right? So that was a big one. I want to believe that that's probably one of the more prevalent scams worldwide, not just in Sri Lanka. Because it's so easy, and for one reason or the other, WhatsApp refused to address that flaw, as I am calling it, right? Because it shouldn't be so easy for anybody to request that code.
Correct.
So, so adults, Listen, I could sit down here and tell you adults probably not getting better. We have classic examples, right? Look at what happened in CIBC.
CIBC,
Everybody's
correct.
pointing their fingers at that gentleman, saying, "Hey, you should have known better. You should have known better." But you put yourself in his shoes, right? I always say hackers are professionals. It's not fly by night. They didn't just decide to come up one day and hack somebody or scam somebody.
Yeah.
They were scoping the scene like a true, CSI.
Yeah, like they realize, oh, all these authorized transactions on WhatsApp. Okay, tell me more. Yeah.
But worse yet, and you do it on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock? Nice. Listen, they're that clinical. So when they hit all of the right checkboxes on their end, it's almost like a natural conversation that guy was having,
Right, yeah.
So he might have gone through, and I actually did a couple sessions for CIBC in Barbados on cybersecurity awareness for their managers, as well as, for parents of the company.
Right,
so they have continued to do awareness and training programs. So whilst I'm saying, maybe the adults are getting better, the scams getting more sophisticated.
I get where you're coming from. Because I myself would have seen some things that some people forwarded to me, and I have to like read it twice. And be like, oh wait, no, don't trust that. To the point where I just be like, don't trust anything.
Especially with AI now.
You can't. Well, we'll get to the social media part somewhere along the line. But the tricky thing is, I want people to become digitally literate, but when they see that they could get caught, they tend to be like afraid. It's like, you ever saw the thing where you could walk over hot coals, and because you walk over fast enough, it wouldn't actually burn your foot?
Yeah.
But you see somebody walk across the hot coals and you're like, yeah, you could do it. Trust me, you can. And then you tell them, no, your turn. And then they're like, nah, boy, I'll get burned. I was like, no, everybody else could walk over it. That's kind of like when you try to get older folks into online banking, using technology and whatnot. They'd be like, yeah, everybody using it, but I'll be the one to get burned. And that's the fear I kind of have. Well, that a lot of people that bunks up would have when it comes to
and it's almost like it has hit close to home for everybody. So not them is like, nah, my brother or my sister or somebody very, very close to me gets scammed, so not me. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. That's before we move on. So do you pay at the pump?
Yeah.
Okay, because I met a young person who'd be like, nah, I not putting my card in that pump at all for anything. I say, but you know it's a chip card, right? And you know that the chip card, it not going to get skimmed because it's created a different key and whatnot. And it's actually a technology. Actually, she's one of the hosts on the podcast, Michaela. She said, no, she's not doing it because she is just not willing to put her card inside a gas station pump. And I was like, but why? Because I know that it's possible. It's going to take a lot, but it could be done. And I was like, wow, to get a young person to not be able to want to pay at the pump.
I always pull up by the gas station, go and fill my gas and see people stand up in the line by the cash. Like, why?
Yeah, and then you feel a sense of superiority, but then you have to be like, humble yourself, just drive off here, and just watch here,
No, but the concern is valid. I would still go to, let's say, for example, I have a few ATMs that I might visit if ever I need cash, right?
Right, yeah.
Which is a very rare thing. But
I understand, yeah.
When I am at the ATM, I shake in the slot,
You're tapping the turn together, yes, kind of, you do a little check,
Before I put that card in, I just making sure that I'm popping out easy, and then I using my card because
If I go to ATM, it has to be a contactless one. So I not pushing in my card anywhere. The only place I'll do it is the gas station because I know the gas station technology and I understand what is taking place. So I feel very secure and I hate lines. Like I really not trying to stand up in a line. So I understand. Okay. Well, that's cool for the status of digital online literacy. We talk about children. So what we're going to talk about next, which is what I really wanted to talk about, is the primary school digital literacy. Because me being a teacher in secondary school, I kind of see the need for this more than anything. And I want to talk to you about how your role is, how you play your role in this thing, right? So we come back after this. Well, you probably made it this far in the podcast. That means you probably like technology a lot and like to at least hear us talk about technology. And that also means you may know somebody or somebody who knows somebody or somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who wants a website built or an app built or some sort of technology integrated in their business. If you want to help them out, you could send them to Make It Simple TT, send them to us. And we have business services that range from building websites to building apps to invoicing systems to ensuring that technology is used in your company, to installation of routers, buying things online. So you could check us out, 308-8799. You could check our services out, or you could go to makeitsimplett.com and see some of the things that we've done and maybe give a recommendation to our website built or something like that. All right, so we're back and we're talking about the primary school digital literacy curriculum, right? I saw on a post on your Instagram that you were a consultant, I believe, consultant on it.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, is it a huge team or is it a very niche team of professionals, teachers, cybersecurity specialists, different stakeholders or whatnot? If you could tell me, as much as you could tell me, I'll take it, but I'll probe as much as I could.
No worries. Let me kind of give you an overview. Mm-hmm. And then we could get into some questions, right? So
okay, yeah.
I was contacted by some colleagues over at the Ministry of Education, curriculum officers actually. Mm-hmm. And, they said, hey, we would like to get your input on this new initiative that we're rolling out. So the reason why you couldn't find anything online is that it hasn't been published, right?
Right.
Still in the review and the edit and the feedback and the stakeholder engagement stages, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is about introducing digital literacy at the primary school level. So it is going to start off as, let's call it a separate subject, and then the feedback that we're hearing is that it will then eventually find its way into all of the different subjects, so that it's not a separate thing, but now you have digital literacy almost embodied into the primary school curriculum.
Okay.
Right. So we started at ground zero, consider it a separate subject, and we're building out a full curriculum on it. So CyberSafeTT was asked to review what they have had, their draft, and make comments and make recommendations based on our experience and expertise. In that session, so they had about 3 or 4 days of consultation, some in South, some in North. The day that I was there was myself from that, I guess, non-profit, tech-oriented type of approach.
Yeah.
We had primary school teachers who were, I guess, the designated IT teacher in the school, almost.
Yes. The de facto person that could fix the photocopier.
IT person.
Yeah.
And luckily, in my group as well, we had a UE representative. This UE representative was the head of the DIP Ed program.
Right.
So again, bringing it back to the teachers. I think that kind of summarizes that particular group. I know on some following days there would have been some iGov representatives. So yeah, I think they were really trying to get a multi-stakeholder approach to the entire project, right?
Okay.
So that's who was involved. That's how I was called in, and what we were asked to do.
Okay. That's real good to know, because a lot of the times I kind of find, my personal opinion is that the level of stakeholder engagement for these sort of things is very sort of like myopic, and they just get like, okay, let's get 2 primary school teachers and get a principal and be like, okay, let me talk to them about technology. But really and truly, it's way, way more vast and a lot more nuanced than we see it, right? So, with that in mind, how far back they think from first year, second year, standard 1? What?
I think they're looking at from as soon as they get in their first year,
right?
Because it has multiple facets of the curriculum and different modes of implementation and so on. So understanding that, those, even the first years, they come in with a level of understanding of technology
right.
already.
Yeah.
Right. We always often say that the kids know technology more than we do, right? But what they know. They might know social media, they might know gaming, they might know certain things, but let's just look at workplace or office productivity tools. They might not know that, right? So one of the cool things that I found that they actually introduced into the curriculum was typing. And I thought, hey,
for real? Oh, wait, don't play with me, because I would love to know that people are being taught to use the QWERTY method and, use all 9 of their fingers to type. Like from young. Okay.
And we actually had a few back and forths on that one, right? Because some of the individuals in the group say, well, no, tablets and touch and so on. And I was like, well, okay, let me put myself in that position. I type on a keyboard almost for the whole day because that I need to do for my job and what many other jobs what you need to do. So I asked the facilitators, I said, what's your end goal? What is the end goal of this objective? And I said, once you can define that. Now they had one, but of course all of these things will be in massage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you could define what that ultimate end goal is, then it will quickly address some of the the questions and so on that might come up. And if it is that you're preparing the student, not only for secondary school, but for the world of work, then you have to know typing, man.
Yeah, how to type. As much as AI and voice recognition and dictating is there, typing is still a skill from a secondary school teacher. Typing is still a skill that you just kind of be like, whoa, you all are really bad at this. Because anytime a child in class is, I could type up my notes, I'd be like, can you actually type? Because we will have to sit down here and wait for you to 2-finger peck it all the way through. And that's not really going to work out. Better you write it. So if we start, if it's starting all the way from first year, it should be something that's holistic in my point of view, where we integrate technology, not just into their learning, but technology into their awareness about how to maximize it to achieve goals. Now, remember, children, school is not just supposed to be about learning a subject. School is supposed to be about teaching you about life skills and how to accomplish things in life and different things and whatnot, right? So do you think that the curriculum is going to gear them to be like, okay, technology is a tool, just like my pen and paper are a tool, just like my voice is a tool, just like my body is a tool. So if your body is a tool, you might teach them about performing arts. If your body is a tool, you might learn sports or whatnot. If technology is a tool, will it be integrated into their whole being to say, okay, your educational life or your development, technology is one of the things that you can use to develop certain things or certain areas of your life? Yeah. You think so?
I would say that they've taken that approach, and it's not just this kind of cursory, airy-fairy type of, say, well, we could download these apps and play these games and learn to count and use AI and these kinds of things. No, it was actually quite practical. So I mentioned typing. They also have, I guess, a part of the proposed curriculum to do productivity. So learning the Microsoft Office suite. Right? Really, really simple things, but just put it in perspective. You now have students who will come into Form 1 and they could do PowerPoints, they could do Excel.
Oh, please, I begging. Like, I would love to.
Right. And whether it is Microsoft PowerPoint as the tool that they use or not, the whole creative process of formulating a presentation, understanding that you have a beginning, a table of contents, and an ending, and so on. Those kind of things is what they're going to look at rolling out and teaching as well. And of course, they will have a cybersecurity element to the entire curriculum as well.
And what about things like research? Because the landscape of research is changing drastically because of large language models and the ability to get them to do the research for you. But now you have to be able to filter through what is good content, what is not content that comes out from an AI. And that skill, I wish they reached a secondary school with that skill to be like, yes, I do have a large language model AI that is going to do a lot of the work for me, but I still need to have the ability to take out the meat and throw away the bones from this. So in terms of research, you think that's inside there also?
Yeah, and they're even talking about teaching students how to cite sources.
Don't play with my emotions.
Understanding why you have to do that, right? Explaining plagiarism and copywriting and yeah. So it's pretty thorough and practical, like I say.
I would love to see that. Now, there will always be a detractor or argument that says, okay, they're too young to understand this. What would be the argument to say, nah, they definitely will understand it. They're not too young to understand it.
I think because they're already coming into the school with that knowledge, right, of a device and using it. So all you're trying to do is hone that experience into something that's productive, you know.
Okay.
I would disagree 100% that they're not ready. The curriculum is, so for example, you're not going to throw standard one, you know, office productivity, right? They're going to build their way up into it. And it really would help, you know, to gradually kind of introduce them. I feel it'll have some students who probably just, you know, fly through this.
Breeze straight and just be like, come on, challenge me, please.
I could do that.
I could code, yeah. They would be like, you know, I could do JavaScript, and you're like, child, and then the teacher would be like, Java who? And then you would end up bouncing up that kind of child. Because there was this time I was teaching a camp on Scratch programming.
Yeah.
And it was to primary school children. And I was like, okay, let's make a thing move and let's make a butterfly and all kind of thing. And this youth man pulled out full on JavaScript for me. And I was like, yes, sir, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get this color to change to this because it's not working like that. And I was like, bro, like, stop. I'll have to talk to you after camp because right now we just dragging and dropping colors on the screen and you want to create variables. And that was interesting to me that an 8-year-old was able to do it. And he was basically learning from YouTube. He had no idea what the depth of the ocean that he was in, but to him, he was just swimming. And he was like, And I think that's one of the good things about youth is that you're so smart that you don't know that you're stupid, or like you're so enthusiastic that you don't realize that you're in a very, very deep part of the ocean, but you just carefree now. And that kind of carefreeness that's allow for creativity because there's no fear. When there's no fear, you cannot be creative.
That's what I see. So there is a programming element to it. Scratch is one of the recommended platforms,
right?
That they may look to deploy. So again, you know, we have up until standard 4, by which they will kind of ease off on learning new things because unfortunately,
SEA,
a lot of focus on SEA, right?
Facts,
now there is a post SEA step program, and I think what my recommendation was, you're gonna probably do the programming aspect of things during that period. You know, let them get into, you know, Scratch and or whatever it is that we decide or they decide to have available.
Okay. All right. I'd love to hear that. Now, the biggest drawback will be teacher adoption, basically.
Because there are a few, and we had. So I actually had to pull back the conversation to a certain extent because it was easy for us to find all of the reasons why this cannot do what it's asking to do. But the reason why we were there was to comment on the curriculum, the introduction of the digital literacy curriculum, assuming that certain variables would be present, right?
Okay.
So, you know, we had to focus on that and not necessarily just look at, not all schools are going to have labs, not all schools are going to have power to have all of these devices, not all students are going to have access to, you know, to devices, and not all teachers would be equipped and already to jump on board, you know, and we even have that at the university level.
Of course. Secondary school, don't start, man. Go ahead.
So we could find all the reasons why this might become challenging, or as some might say, this will fail, or whatever the case might be. But then also, you know, if we don't start somewhere and actually have it available as a rubric to people to follow, you know, then, you know. You'll have nothing to aim for because you'll just be like, people will just be like, you know, these children should be doing something technical. The ministry should have created some sort of whatever. And that's always where we tend to end up as teachers, where we know that we should get somewhere and we let the hurdles stop us from running.
And teachers tend to do that. Because right now we're doing that with AI in teaching. Even though we had some workshops on AI as teachers and whatnot, the hurdles of trying to implement it, teachers just kind of like, nah, it's too much work to try to get the students to do that. But we have to do it because they have to be able to use it responsibly. The speed that it's going at, you can't be standing still. You have to at least be walking because AI running and you have to walk behind it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that you were in on this, and it's not a easy feat to have to think through all of the different issues that could come up when you try to put technology literacy in primary schools, because you brought up a lot of things there. Infrastructure, big one, because even secondary schools don't have the infrastructure, so much less for primary schools, which have a smaller budget, and they have a lower, let's say, I wouldn't say safety net, but the level of support that primary schools get tends to be very spread out. For example, one ICT technician will be assigned to 4 different primary schools, whereas a secondary school may have one.
That as well. We spoke about that in terms of as a recommendation for. I mean, it's a different body altogether. Yeah. But that was one thing that we put forward in terms of that concept of sharing this ICT resource for multiple schools. It needs to at least be a little bit. The ratio needs to be smaller.
Right, yeah, correct. Because I understand the need for a ratio, because if you assign one ICT technician to a primary school that has like 150 students and 10 teachers, that technician doing nothing on a daily basis, besides setting up a projector here and there. So yes, you're going to have to spread them out, but the spreading them out will become, the ratio has to be smaller, especially when you're trying to implement this and the technical things that will come out of it. Yeah. I kind of understand that. But in terms of devices, where did the conversation go with that? Because we know that the one laptop per child is coming back for secondary schools, which has its ups and downs, pros and cons, but definitely if the digital literacy has to take place in primary school, devices have to be available, whether it's in labs that are secure, and security is unexpected. But I mean, is it a lab-based sort of thing or would it be a budget sort of thing and the school is able to put what it needs based on their locale or whatever the case is?
So what I liked about looking through the entire curriculum is that there are elements in each of the sections that didn't require you to actually have a device to learn.
Okay. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, okay. All right.
So the curriculum, as one of the teachers in the session with me indicated, as with many curriculums, is a guide. And teachers would then adapt to that guide based on the resources that they have. But they will cover the key objectives and the learning outcomes. But you might do it differently. So one school might actually, and we're not talking digital literacy at this point. This could be maths, bio, IT, whatever the case might be, right? Different teachers would deploy different strategies based on the resources that they have to cover the content in the curriculum. And they'll take a similar approach in this regard. So there are actual worksheets, right? Downloadables, printables, and so on that could kind of help engage learning and still teach some of the digital concepts. So you will probably have situations where you have schools that don't have any devices, no internet connection, but they will not be void of understanding and learning what some of the concepts would be. Then you would have other schools that would be a lot more advanced, and they might be able to embody every single aspect of the of that part of the curriculum, and they will probably be able to do it behind a screen.
Right.
So that was a nice way that I felt that they were building it out to still cater for schools that wouldn't be like in terms of not even having a device at all, right? As opposed to you have one device and a projector, and a teacher is kind of teaching, so students can still kind of see what's going on in a screen in front of them. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I got you. Okay. Well, to kind of wrap it up, what can you say the roadmap looks like? I know you can't give out like official timelines or whatever the case is, but are we looking like a 3-year process, or 2-year, 5-year? What do you think it would be?
So that was another thing that we discussed. So they have a pretty aggressive rollout.
Aggressive.
A pretty aggressive rollout initiative, right? To actually get it on the ground. And there were some reservations from the team on that, but it's not going to be cast in stone. These things are iterative, right? So of course, it will start with just the new intake of students. Because you can't rule it out for standard trees, right? Because they would have probably missed what you would have done from before.
Correct,
so they will look to kind of do it in that perspective. Also, another idea, have select schools that you could do a pilot on, as opposed to rolling it out across the board. So you could probably do a pilot with some select schools, which MOE might be able to be the best to identify, along with maybe stakeholders who might be able to assist in that identification process as well. You get the pilot schools, you roll them out, and the pilot schools does not necessarily mean, and I said this, schools that have the best technology. You want to actually have pilot schools that
give you a reflection of what school. Yeah.
So you could cover all bases, right? And you do that maybe for 1 year. And then come September the following year, you could increase the adoption of it, and you'll probably know what additional investments you need to do or whatever. But it will most likely be rolled out, sooner than you think. But the strategy, which I only made suggestions on, I don't know what the actual strategy is, to do pilot schools. And to kind of have it from that phase perspective.
Okay. But boy, I would love to see children come into Form 1 with some sort of digital literacy, because we be struggling in them secondary schools to get children to just understand the concept of, okay, I need you to type up a document. And they'll be like, what? Type up a document? Like, with what? A table of contents? Like, I will teach a table of contents in Form 2. And by the time them trying to reach in Form 6 and I ask them to do a table of contents, they act like they don't know. But if it's ingrained in them from early that this is proper document preparation, this is how you do research, this is how you cite sources, do different things, that'll help us a lot in secondary school. So yeah, I believe that implementing technology in secondary schools was not the end all of it. It has to be something that is ingrained in them, because as we said, it's ingrained in them from life. So therefore, we need to show them how this will impact their educational life and their development, and even help them to understand the world a little more, so that they'll be smarter with technology too, which I think they are getting better at, but that's a whole other story. So that's cool with the primary school digital literacy. I would love for when that PDF comes out, I'll dissect it from top to bottom, because it's something that we always talking about. So now we talk about the bad things now, what we could do better. So we'll come back after the break with this. Right now you're listening to Trini TechCast, and more than likely you know that I love technology a lot. But more so, I love teaching technology. I'm a CSEC IT and CAPE Computer Science and IT teacher, and I have classes that are available. So if you know anyone, any student that's looking for quality CAPE Computer Science or CSEC IT classes, you can check us out 308-8799 on WhatsApp or makeitsimplett.com/register. You can get classes, notes, recordings, IA, SBA help, everything that you could think of that will get you that one in CSEC IT. So you can check us out. All right, so we painted a really nice picture of everything here. Everything is good. Where are we falling short, boy, with digital literacy, with technology right now in Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, by extension the world, because we know you have links in Australia and all kind of thing too. We ain't gonna mention all of that, right? But where are we falling short? Do you need me to give you an example, or you have someone at the top of your head right now?
I mean, I could ramble on for the rest of the hour on where we fall in short there. Give us some guidance. Let me start with an example. Yeah.
I think that we are heavily underbanked in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's because people just pray to our bank account, or they find it too hard to have a bank account. And if we have to get some sort of financial inclusion or fintech technology that is going to help us do things a lot better, me and Akin will be talking about that all the time on the podcast. And I don't know what it will take to get people to kind of grasp that financial technology will give us a big help in terms of money management and corruption and those other things. But I don't know why it's taking so long, but What do you think?
I feel forget the electronic e-commerce part of things, right?
Yeah,
Even down to credit card adoption is
yeah,
not where it should be in
yeah.
2025 in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm,
Not everybody have a credit card, and I'm just saying that because the ease of having a credit card and doing business online
yeah.
kind of dovetails into, okay, well, I can have an e-wallet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I always like the experience when I travel, just literally tapping my phone. And then,
Boy,
you come
yeah.
back here and you have to kind of get your finger to pull out some notes and them kind of things. It's like,
Yeah, paper cuts.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but that banking thing, I don't know what do you think we could do to help sorry, what was the root cause of the lack of adoption of, let me say, credit cards, or even everybody have a chip card now, and they don't know that they could use their chip card to do so many things. Like if you set up an online store like WePay or whatnot, you could put the card information inside
yeah,
locally and you could shop online. And I have to be explaining that to people like on a weekly basis, because with my classes and whatnot, people could pay like that and they just don't. They want to either go to the bank, take the money, put it in an envelope, write the account number and put it in the little box thing and see the little stamp and whatnot, or they would do the online transfer. But what you think is the contributing factor to the ignorance of those sort of things?
if I have to ask, I'll put you on the spot.
Go
If I
ahead.
have to ask, how do you think banks treat people in Trinidad and Tobago? The average customer,
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 6.
right?
I'd say
And
6.
you ever had the experience opening a bank account in another country or interacting with a bank from another country?
I myself have never done it, but I have heard from multiple people that they basically welcome you into their institution and they will do everything in their power to get you to get this account open. And it's almost like you're home. Yeah, you're home.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's welcoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and it allows that opportunity to ask any kind of questions that you want, and you
Yeah.
get the answer state almost immediately. Now,
Mm.
what blew me away, and this is some years ago, Bank
Yeah.
of America allowed you to deposit a check by sending a picture,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
right? And that was way. I think honestly, I really don't know if online banking was so much of a thing then, right? Not saying that didn't exist, but it wasn't like the natural thing for us to do.
Yeah, I think FCB online banking would have started in like 2007. I think I got it. Like as soon as it came out, I think I got it. But I knew about the check being deposited with a picture from since like 2003 or 4 or something like that, with
Right.
my cousin from the States or something like that. Yeah.
So you have that having existing for such a long time now,
Yeah.
and now you travel. So again, I'm bringing back my experience to just a couple of weeks ago. I went into BH Electronics, right?
Yeah.
Big Sawati in electronics, you can get anything, right?
Yeah.
And I, in my old Trini self, pull out some US cash to pay. But I send the people behind the counter in a frenzy. Change. I started waiting for change longer than I was in the store browsing for products and then.
Wow.
No, I'm telling you. So
you feel like a caveman.
No, here's the thing. I had cash, so I was like, all right, fine. I didn't really intend to make this purchase, so I paid it to my card. Let me just use the cash this time around, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I see the sales clerk talking to the manager, and she was like, "He paying cash." So the whole system there really facilitates that sort of online e-commerce, e-banking kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And it becomes natural. When I was leaving the airport, I flew JetBlue. And at the JetBlue terminal in New York, was weird. They told you put away all documents. We don't want to see a passport, nothing like that. You're going to stand up in front of the gate to enter to get onto the plane and be scanning your face, right? And it's like, I used to feel real happy I could take my watch and scan it to get into the plane. Right? That's old school technology. They literally scanning your face and you're walking in. So when you have a nation and an environment where these type of cashless transactions and non-invasive touch type of scenarios happening almost naturally, paying online ain't nothing for you. Paying by the pump or taking your phone and tapping it somewhere is literally nothing for you to do. We have not reached that stage. So the banks have one part to do in terms of converting their system, but the merchants also need to be encouraged to set up those kind of seamless type of approaches to making payments.
I think that's for the few times I was go out and like buy fast food and whatnot, because cooking is cheaper. Sometimes the even the people who selling the cashiers, they don't know that you can tap the card, Like, they'll be like, just insert the card, sir. And I'll be like, no, I could, it says tap, I could tap it. And they'll be like, sir, you have to insert the card. I'm like, watch this. And then it goes through. And they would sometimes be in like, or whatnot, or whatever the case is. If the merchants had some sort of, the merchants would have some sort of incentive, but I don't know, the financial literacy and the fintech industry or whatnot, I believe it's like kind of like low-hanging fruit, because it's a transactional thing, and the technical part of it has been solved by so many people so far. All we need to solve is the social part, and the social part, good.
Let me pull back though, because this just dawned upon me as you mentioned, buying fast food, which is also something that I don't do regularly, right? This is for the viewing public out there. Was the application by Republic? I forgot it. I was trying to remember.
Encash. Yeah.
So, in a good few vendors on the cross in San Fernando, they have Encash. I don't think I ever see anybody pay with Encash.
I heard one person that I know did it.
As in they did that once.
Once, yeah.
Right. Now, the only time I know that I can recall, and this is my personal take on it, where it was almost the only thing you could have done. I believe Island Crashers kind of promote this cashless type of environment. That that event in Tobago, right? And I believe that most of their vendors have that app for transacting costs.
Well,
right?
The UPIC or USPC or the Indian system that we're supposed to be getting, that is coming, and that should hopefully if the government adopts it at the wide scale that it should be, it should create more buzz. But if people know that they have to pay with it, they'll probably have to line up to get it done.
Yeah,
but
I like the idea that they're introducing it into government services. So I could pay for my government services, which you have to do regardless.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it should be able to, and once it goes into your phone. So that would be one direction I would have pointed you. Where do you think we are falling short when it comes to social media usage and trends with respect to our country, diaspora, whatever the case is? From the aspect of, do we use social media in a way that is leading to productivity, or are we just caught in a major rut of poor social media usage and our content is just piss poor?
No, I mean, all right, it's Trinidad, right? We like the bacchanal. So you might find that takes the news or the forefront more so than usual. But I think the last few purchases that I have made for a whole host of different things was really done online, as in on through social media, communicating,
Yeah.
which might then move from TikTok or Facebook or Instagram over to WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I get my payment link, whether it is WePay or whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
and I throw in a delivery fee, and boom, item home by me, and I
Right.
didn't have to go into the store.
Right.
What
Okay.
I'm noticing though is that websites are really a thing of the past. There seems to be other ways of getting your product to the client. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have a use for websites anymore, but I could see that the traditional concept or understanding of an e-commerce driven website seems to be either dying a very slow death, or the ease and maybe the smaller cost of doing a WhatsApp catalog or a Facebook, photo group with all your products or whatever the case might be, or IG shop, those kind of things just seem to be easier for the average person to do. And I mean, at least the good thing is people using it. I mean, of course, you had to filter the algorithm, I mean, if you only click on bacchanal stuff, that's all you want to see on your feed.
Correct. Right? I tend to agree with you. There is an element of our culture that must have bacchanal in it, because that is a part of who we are in terms of basically that's how we conduct life. Old talk and bacchanal. It's kind of like the same thing. You can see it in
even use bacchanal to sell. See, Bite Me Bistro use the Coldplay thing to
for sure.
Push some traffic their way.
I think it's as you say, I believe that it's trending in the right direction, especially with a lot of the online businesses. I know a lot of young people doing these online businesses. It's just that the shadow banning or the different issues that's come up with the algorithm, I heard a lot of them complain about it. Where they would say, my account get taken down or this or whatever the case is. And I basically told them, well, listen, if you're depending on these large scale companies to be the sole place for you to have your business, then you are at their mercy. So one wrong video, one wrong thing, you could get pulled down. So definitely, you'll still have to try to get a website or some sort of web presence so that people will be able to see it. But yes, you are correct. Because of the amount of B2C that going on right now, everybody just hustling to small consumers. And I would have done some like business technology courses with some people to teach them a little bit about it and let them know, okay, once you get to the point that you have a certain amount of clients that if Instagram ban you dead in the water. Yeah, go and do your website, because your brand is becoming big enough to be able to require some sort of permanent place for you to have. But yeah, I order real things online, like real thing. Aside from the stuff that I order, like from Amazon and thing, I started to do a little more local purchases or local shopping, and well, it's really my son that's kind of put me on it too. He just sent me links on Instagram, because he looking for things, and he sent me links on Instagram. I was be like, nah, that one looking like a scam. Yeah, that one looking shady. This one might be good because you could clearly see that they took time to put some terms of service and those sort of things. So there are people who are using their social media for business purposes, and they have an understanding of, if this is my place of business, I'm going to make sure I do it properly. So I believe that we're trending in the right direction. And coming from a person who does not take in much bacchanal at all, if any at all, I try to follow people who post things that, they're trying their best to be a positive light in social media. And it's a real good content out there, boy. It's a real good content out there from Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean also. And I'm glad to see that. Because we could have been down a very dangerous road. We could have gone down a very dangerous road of being just known for these are party people who like one set of bacchanal. But there are people who saying to themselves, even though I don't like social media, because I stopped using my personal social media accounts. I only use my business accounts because I really just get tired of personally having to keep everybody updated. But the the way that we use it, especially the government, past and present government, in terms of the updates that they put, the type of content that they put, the use of reels and using the different features on the different platforms. I'm really glad that we handle that. But this part is about where we falling short. So there are parts where we do fall short where I just shake my head at some of the things that people post, like anytime there's crime or dead bodies or those sort of things where we don't have to, you don't have to put everything on social media way. But it's part of who we are. So I guess social media will be a net positive, as Akim would say. All right, so that was my guidelines to you. Where else do you think we've fallen short before we close off?
Yeah, I feel we're still not learning from our past mistakes.
Okay.
So, I mean, even from a cyber safety perspective, right? I would continuously tell people, I like that you share that whole thing about posting bad things, right? I always say, like, sharing is worse than posting itself.
Correct. Yes, you are totally correct. Yeah.
Because you don't have to share it. Tell me why it is you shared it. Yeah. Like really and truly, put yourself in that person's shoes. And we are very small. It's just 1.4 million people. Yeah. You could probably drive around the country and see, half of the population in one go.
Yeah.
So you put up something and it's very impactful, so much so that it could be life-threatening. And there's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we kind of lost our empathy when we interacted in that space. And that is one thing that's irked me, because I see it for some grown-up people.
Yeah. Like, you're a big man. You're a big man. You're a big one.
Yeah. You really need to do that. On that side, though, it's good to see, even though in the absence of things like the cybercrime bill, that we bringing people to court and charging people for cyberbullying and doing the wrong things online, both young and old. So
I agree. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about cybercrime bill. I talked to Shiva about that last week, and every time I talk about that, I'll be like, when this bill gonna pass by? But that's cool. Well, I only expected to talk to you for an hour, but we're an hour and 6 minutes, boy, because that means you're a good person to talk to. You're a good person to talk to. I appreciate all the conversation that we had so far, boy. Anything you want to close off with? Anything you want to tell the people that you're doing, things to look forward to, or just be like, follow Cyber Safety T. I'll send you the collaboration link on Instagram when we post. So but
I mean, we have a few things that we rolling out. Even with the One Laptop a Child program, we pushing out some content to go on those laptops about online safety. So you might see that once it makes the cut. But we're kind of working on a 6-week kind of program that goes ahead with that. Some pretty neat stuff, kind of tie back into cyber safety as well.
Okay. So when you say on the laptops, like
it's coming prepackaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as you open up the laptop, they'll see the video there, and they'll
have a few different stakeholder groups that add in content. I mean, at least it reach you.
Yeah.
It have a few different stakeholder groups who will be contributing content. We are one of them.
Okay, that's great. I'm really, really glad to hear that, because I'm happy for the laptops, but I also have my reservations, because I'm a teacher. I know how this thing goes. But so I'll look forward to that. And if there's any content or whatnot to share or whatever the case is, trust me, I'll always tell them, Cyber Safety T, that's your guy. Call him. Yeah, that's what you want. They'll be like, you could come and talk to these children. I'll be like, nah, I'm a teacher. I have I have to go to school, but there's a guy who has a job, but for somehow he's able to do this still while he still has a job, because obviously you're running the show.
Yeah, we have the cloning machine behind the laptop. You can't see it.
They asked me if I have a clone too, I'll just be like, I can't divulge that information. But Darren, it was a good one, boy. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And I'm positive that there are people that are going to be like, wait, this man real smart, boy. Yeah, because actually he is, guys. He's been doing this for a while. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, whatever you do. And all the Spotify people, leave a comment on Spotify so it will actually like come up in people's feed. Because apparently when you leave comments, it's come up in the feed now because it shows that, you know, you're engaged and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
All right, Darren. So we will talk. Thanks a lot, man. It's up.
Right.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.